this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Get It Right Texoma. I'm Mike Hendren. This is Terry McAdams, Trey Serrala, the Texoma Trio with you once again, coming to you from the MacTech Solutions Podcast Studios.
In front of it. No.
Recorded in front of a live audience. Now, there's like nobody here. It is totally crickets back there.
There's our audience.
There's our audience. So the crickets, yeah. And whatever else, other insects is crawling
roach or two running around, unfortunately.
Something. No mice or rats.
What a way to promote your business.
I know.
No, come on. Tell me you hadn't seen a roach.
Yeah,
come on. He's not serving tacos
even
over here.
Even the roaches have iPhones around here.
That's right.
No, we've got MacTech.
You're gonna have roaches dressed up in khakis and everything like an eye with Apple Store or whatever.
Yep.
Thank you. Now I'll have that in my head all day long.
Yeah.
That's great. Anyway, MacTech Solutions, 4020 Ray Road here in Wichita Falls, 4020 Ray Road, Suite 3B, actually, MacTech-Solutions.com is their website.
Look for the cool sign out front.
Yes, big cool sign.
Yep.
And then also this podcast being brought to you in part by Eddie Hills Fun Cycles at 401 North Scott in downtown Wichita Falls. Eddie Hills in business since 1966. Absolutely your power sports authority here in Texoma.
That's about a year old.
Yeah.
When
you're dating yourself there, aren't you?
hey, that's okay.
All right. Yeah. Where was I going with that? Anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah. EddieHillsFunCycles.com, right?
That's it. I guess with
That's
AI,
it.
you can almost date yourself these days, can't you?
You
can literally date yourself.
Like date yourself.
With AI.
Wow, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, you can actually have your voice sort of reproduced,
That's
and
what
then
I mean.
you can have the AI have a conversation with the AI, and it would be. And in theory, you could do as much of a brain dump as you possibly could, and that is a theory that some people are doing, is trying to capture consciousness.
Right.
If we had, and think about it, if we had a recorder on us, this is good and scary at the same time. But if you had a recorder on you day to day, and you had a personal AI assistant, you could probably recall anything better than you can recall it yourself.
Probably.
And then once you pass away, that knowledge base could still exist, and you could pass that on to your loved ones, which then in theory could have a conversation with you. So that's some deep stuff here.
That is very deep.
It is.
That we could talk about in the future.
That is. So you're achieving basically digital immortality.
To some extent, yeah. In theory, if you, from the day you began to, actually, even if you, your parents were to develop this personal AI for you upon your birth, and for that matter, even before your birth.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And they could tell the history of when, all the way through from conception, oh yeah.
Okay, I really don't.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. Terry, you just, dude, you crossed the line for me.
I don't even want to think about. I don't even want to think about that. Not even.
What's the old joke is when your wife was giving birth, did you film the delivery? He said, no, but I got some great footage of the conception.
Imagine that would be recorded, and you would know all about it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But they could put permissions on it, so that it would expose. Once you say the magic word.
Why did mom and dad have a safe word? Yeah. All right, back on track. The Huskies Block Party.
We jumped
will be May
traces
25th
totally here.
At 11 to 7 in Castaway Cove. Go to Huskies for Life reunion page on Facebook. As you know, if you're from this area or if you're watching, if you don't know, there are 3 high schools here in town: Ryder, Hershey, and Wichita Falls High School, and they are all going to be closed and consolidated into 2 new high schools, Legacy and Memorial, next year. And so there's going to be some reunions and that sort of thing that people are going to kind of have their last hurrah. And this will be the last Husky birthday block party, kind of saying goodbye to Hershey High School and that's going to be at Castaway Cove here in Wichita Falls on May 25th from 11 to 7.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you for the seriousness to get us back on track.
It's strange that I'm the one who got serious, right?
No kidding. Wichita Falls Ballet Theater presents A Midsummer Night's Dream.
You got to get serious when you talk about ballet.
Yeah. You do. Do you even have
to do you have the voice? The theater.
Midsummer Night's Dream. May 17th from 7 to 10. And May 18th from 1 to 3. So I'm guessing that's probably a Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, I believe that's
thing.
right.
Yeah. And so that'll be fun. That'll be a blast. It will. So,
and there's some, I don't know if this is a traveling group or if it's local people. I would assume it's probably a traveling group because ballet is a very specific thing. I mean, sometimes you'll get local musicians that come together, but to get a whole group of people in an area like this that are really top-notch ballet people, that would be pretty tough in a town the size of Wichita Falls.
Yeah, I was never even tempted to try ballet. I've seen myself in tights. It's not pretty.
Well, unfortunately,
wow.
I don't wear a tutu. I have to wear a 3-3. So.
Oh my gosh! Well, all right. So moving on to a local topic here. We haven't talked about this yet. So one of the Methodist churches here in town, one of the larger ones, is closing their doors. Floral Heights United Methodist.
One of the oldest ones as well.
Yeah.
It's over 100 years old.
Over 100 years old. I don't know what size their congregation is, but I know they've been historically one of the larger Methodist churches in the area. And at the end of this month, the end of April, right? They're closing their doors.
I believe that's right. Yes,
April into this month. Yeah.
They have around 300 members in the congregation, and there was a vote of 61-1 to close and merge Floral Heights with the two other United Methodist churches in town. So I guess they're all coming together to form their own local Methodist conglomerate, or what?
I don't know. I don't know if they're actually going to just go part of the other churches. I don't know that much. It was just kind of a newsworthy event that you have a major church that's been a very influential church in our community for over 100 years. It's in Floral Heights, part of Wichita Falls. So traditionally has been one of the wealthier areas in town.
Right.
And it's a church that's going away, and I believe they're going to merge with First Methodist and maybe somebody else, University Methodist. I'm not sure who they're merging with.
I don't know if it's an official merge or they're just simply dispersing.
They're yes.
Yeah.
Well, they use the word merge in the story, so I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're changing anybody else's congregation. I think they're just changing. Their people are going to different congregations,
right.
And then some people won't. And won't go to any congregation.
Well, and there's the United Methodist Church national organization that a lot of these are under. The hierarchical kind of the support organization above that helps them out to with a lot of resources. But I have a customer that's longtime member, actually a couple of customers that are longtime members and have heard that a while back that that was going on. And there's basically it comes down to there was a contingent that left the church. We won't get into the details or whatever here, but there was a split and may have been along some political or ideological, which was, of course, historically religion has always been sometimes a contentious. That's why there's a Methodist and there's a Presbyterian and there's all the different ones.
Well, that's why. How many strains of Baptist are there? Just Baptist alone. There's a lot of different strains. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny about it. I'm just simply saying, that was just the word that came to mind.
Yeah, there's
different types of Baptists.
They split off.
Yeah, Southern Baptists, and then you have.
And so anyway,
count the casseroles,
Exactly, yeah.
But basically there was a split. First Presbyterian Church went through this a number of years ago as well, and they were able to stay as First Presbyterian. However, they left the PCUSA, which was their governing body. A little bit of there's some, again, and I think First Presbyterian in Dallas also went through this kind of thing in a while back, and so this is not anything that's so there's some divides that occur within these churches, and so but the First Pres went to ECHO. It's called ECHO, although it's not really in the name. It actually has a different meaning, but in any case. So that happens.
What happens, and I grew up Methodist, and I grew up in Beverly Drive Methodist Church here in town, which is a church that is dying. Actually, it's dying off. Just what I'm saying, it's just it's people are literally dying off, and not the membership is not replenishing as fast. Right. I think what happens with these churches is they get so in the hierarchy outside your local area, they get so worried about political things, and they try to get into political fights and things like that. And then all of a sudden it's like all I'm doing is speaking in generalities here. United Methodist, okay, well, the United Methodist Church on a national scale, we stand for this. Well, that may be what you stand for, or what a few people that you decided stand for, but that's not what all your parishioners stand for. Right. Churches need to. The problem is with churches is there's already a flee from religion in our country, and part of it is churches have themselves to blame. When you thou shan't and thou shall not and all that sort of stuff, people to death, people are going like, screw it, I'm just going to go on and do my own thing. And we need religion in this country. And whether you're a religious person or not, you can be an atheist or you can be agnostic or whatever, but you have to at least understand the more religious people that feel like there is a higher power and that we are in a higher, you answer to a higher need, the better off we are as a society.
One of the things that has happened, though, I'm gonna attack this from a different angle, is you also have a lot of secular interjection into the churches. You have a lot of I'm trying to think what the right socio-political things that are being put upon the churches, basically telling the churches, your Bible may say this, but you can't say that. You go to some countries, England, Canada, some other places that we don't necessarily think of as being oppressive, but there are some places where preachers say certain things and they can end up being charged with a crime just for saying it.
Yeah. Well, I think we do have a little bit of from a tax exempt status. A church is, tell me if I'm wrong, they're not supposed to be advocating for or against like a political candidate upon the
guys,
very specific.
We can eliminate it. We can eliminate all that real easy. We can eliminate that problem real easy. We get rid of the federal income tax, and we go to the fair tax, a national sales tax. And we take the federal government out of it in that regard. There's no more collecting any because when you go to the fair tax, no more deductions for your contribution to your churches. None of that. It basically
because you're not taxed on it when you spend the money.
Everyone everyone has skin in the game.
Away. Yeah.
With the fair tax, everybody has skin in the game. Nobody is benefiting greater than one party or another maybe from tax loopholes or whatever. We could do a whole week's worth of shows over just that nonsense. So that's one way you could eliminate that issue altogether. But I think we're a long way from doing that. We don't have the appetite for it in Washington. Too many people profiting from the current system. But this thing with society basically telling churches you can't preach what your Bible says because you're going to violate XYZ if you do. Well, that's a whole other.
Whereas the problem is, it's not society; it's the people in the churches that kowtow to it.
Yeah,
the leadership, as opposed to telling everybody to piss off.
Which
we're going to do what we're going to do.
Yeah,
and move on. I mean, that's the biggest problem. And then you get, like I said, you get the leadership, and they get embroiled in the political landscape, and then they start pushing down at their different places. Well, you have to understand, United Methodist Church, America is very different all over the country. The mores, the morals, all that sort of thing are very different. Travel to different parts of the country and see. Yes, we're the United States of America, but what is acceptable in New York City may not be acceptable in Wichita Falls, Texas.
True.
And what's common in Wichita Falls, Texas, they might not like in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah.
Well, so that's why if you look at a map, there are when you look at like presidential elections, it's very close in the amount of people that vote, whether they vote Republican or Democrat. Mm-hmm. When it's all said and done, for amount of people that vote, it is very close. Just the raw numbers, it's very close how many people vote.
Yep.
The different parties. So
there's just definitely a lot of things to think about in that, and there's we could, how many topics have we just
I don't know.
I know.
Anyhow, it is what does happen though. You see churches in general that I think need to quit worrying about the social impact of this, that, and the other, and stick with the Bible. And that's the thing. And if you're not religious and you're not into that, fine, don't go to church. Pretty simple. Yeah. Just say I'm not going to be involved in that. But the churches themselves, and when I say the churches, I mean the Catholic Church, the Episcopalian Church, the Methodist Church, all the Baptist churches, all that stuff. They need to stop trying to push this extra bullshit. Stick with the good book or whatever, or the Quran. If you're whatever your religion is, stick with that and preach that. And go by that, and then move on. Let people make their own decisions every other place.
All right. Now, anti-Trump people coming out of the woodwork to slam this case in New York City. Bill Barr, who not exactly a pro-Trump guy, apparently he has come out and criticized what's going on. Alan Dershowitz.
He's definitely not a pro-Trump guy.
Definitely.
He's actually been doing this for a while now, right? Bill Barr was just, obviously.
Alan Dershowitz has been sounding the alarm on some of this stuff that's going on with Trump for a couple of years now.
And he said, and he'll tell you, or he'll say, I voted for Biden. I'm going to vote for Biden again. I'm not voting for Trump, but this is wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. The whole point behind this is some of the legal people who can't stand Trump, do not want Trump to be the nominee, do not want him to be president again, are still coming out and saying what's wrong is wrong and what's right is right. And this is wrong. This case that was a misdemeanor case that and everybody's used the word bootstrapped. All the legal eagles have used that word I guess that is the legal term or whatever, the common term, bootstrapped it to a felony case to make it a felony, and it's a misdemeanor case or misdemeanor that has gone past the statute of limitations. By the way, it's statute of limitations, not statute of limitations.
Yeah.
So, and they've moved this to a felony, and the DOJ said they weren't going to prosecute, and the Federal Election Commission said that they're not going to get involved in this, and yet you have Alvin Bragg, you have a DA in New York. And who said, we're moving forward with this thing.
Yeah, well, I look at all these people and I say to them, so tell me you're engaging in a political hit job without telling me you're engaging in a political hit job. Because that's exactly what this case against Trump is. It's a political hit job. There's no other way to characterize it. Yes, here. Let me back up here a little bit. Here's what I think really has happened here. Because I back in 2016, when Trump made the announcement that he was going to run for the Republican nomination, I don't think any of them took him seriously. To be honest, I didn't totally take him seriously either at first. I think everybody thought he's a comedian, he's a business guy, but he's a comedian, he's a TV star, he's this, this guy's not. He's not seriously going to try.
It's a publicity stunt.
It's a publicity stunt.
More than anything, he's a pub. I mean, when you build towers and golf courses and you throw your name all over it, and you have 747 planes and you got your name splashed all over it, obviously your brand is huge to you and publicity is huge to you.
Yeah. It's not huge. It's huge.
It's huge. Yeah.
But anyway, I don't think anybody took him seriously. Nobody really believed he was going to win it. And then he gets into the Republican nomination process, and the bodies start dropping, and Trump's still here, and more people drop it, Trump's still here, and then Trump wins the nomination. They're like, okay, well, he's not going to beat Hillary Clinton. There's no way Hillary Clinton's going to lose this thing. No way. And I actually had people look at me. I had Republicans look at me with a straight face and say, there's no way he beats Hillary Clinton. It just can't happen. I'll be damned. What does he do? He beats Hillary Clinton. He wins the presidency. And everybody puckered.
Well, hey,
because
Mike,
all of a sudden it's real.
Mike, just as a point of reference here, there used to be a radio show that used to do a weekly radio show on News Talk 1290. Daily radio show.
Daily.
And there was this guy. I don't know his name, but I could shit in his pants. And that was the first person
to say it
on that radio. And this was a radio show that had Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and all those other things. And I'm the first person that I'm aware of that was on that radio station
that said
Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States.
And you did say that. And it happened.
Publicly. Yeah. I said it after the second debate.
It happened. And I just, I think a whole lot of people on both sides of the aisle absolutely puckered when he won this thing. They're like, this can't be really happening. And immediately they go into how do we stop it from happening again mode.
Yeah.
I think there was already a plot, and I'm going to call it a plot, in motion in 2016 to make damn sure he didn't win 2020.
Well, there was evidence that there was somebody who was the CIA or the FBI was spying on his transition, his campaign. But actually, before he won the election, when he was doing the nomination, once he got the Republican nomination, there's evidence that they were spying on his campaign then.
Yes.
And then when the transition, when he did win, you win in November, you don't take office until January.
Yeah.
It's not like you win and then you show up the next day. So there's a transition time there. And they had federal agents that were embedded in that transition time.
It has been talked about in years now. Well, at least 4 years, really. It hasn't really been a topic. But remember the Steele dossier?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that.
That it turns out that whole document was a fabrication.
And nobody has been held accountable?
Apparently you had people who were allegedly employed by the Clinton campaign to create this. The whole thing, it was all a bunch of garbage. It was a lie.
As basis to charge him, or at least open up investigations.
Well, to go to the FISA courts.
Yeah,
and this is what's crazy. If I was one of those FISA court judges, how pissed off would you be to find out that you got duped multiple times?
Well,
yes.
But again, has there been anybody held accountable for that?
Not that I'm aware of.
To actually, the fact that they went in and used a fake document that they did not, it's almost gross negligence in the legal, I would think, in the legal world.
You would think.
To
present something like that and not actually, do something about it.
No, that it was fabricated.
Check it out.
And then you went to a court, and you presented this evidence to a court, and they gave you a warrant based on that evidence. I can't believe that court does not come back and charge those people with contempt.
Right,
well,
because you're, if I'm not mistaken, you're filing, you're actually testifying to the court that you are, in fact, in good faith, going through and doing this, and you've done your due diligence, you've done all of those things, and they just completely relied on it. They thought it was a slam dunk. They just they took a bet and lost, but they haven't been held accountable.
I think that the thing that most shocked everyone about Trump is you've got this guy who is a complete and total political outsider. He's not part of the establishment on either side. He's not a career politician. This guy has never. He was never even a mayor of anywhere. I mean, this guy had
He didn't even run for dog catcher.
No. I mean,
he never held a political office at all.
His first political office he ever wins and holds is the President of the United States.
That he ever runs for.
Yeah. And it's funny because, you go back to the 1980s, and I've cited this before. There's an interview, and it's on YouTube. You can still see it. You can see the whole thing. Donald Trump is on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and this is in her early days on television. And then they're talking about him, the possibility of him someday running for president. And she's practically salivating over the thought that Donald Trump might run for president. She's excited about it. She's gleeful about it, even. And a whole lot of celebrities were, until he ran as a Republican. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, he's public enemy number one.
He's Hitler and all that.
Yeah.
Look, it goes back to, look, the guy was the president. The reason I thought that he would be president is when I saw that second debate, and I saw that he was really a serious person with this deal. He was coming into this. This wasn't a goof. This was serious. I have these plans. I have these thoughts and everything. Yeah, he did his sleepy this guy and crazy this guy and all those. He made those little monikers and things like that. But you realize you started listening to what he was saying about as far as policy and positions. This guy's serious. And then he was running against in my opinion, the most hated politician of our lifetime, Hillary Clinton. Yeah. But that was that perfect storm there, and that's how Donald Trump got elected. But if you could be objective, you don't have to like the guy. I don't like the guy. I don't want Donald Trump to be the president again. If there was somebody who had Donald Trump's policies and wasn't Donald Trump. Now, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because I want Donald Trump over Joe Biden to be the president. Yeah. But as far as if we had somebody who was had the policies and the thought process and the leadership of Trump without the bullshit that goes with it, or some of it at least, just tone it down a little bit, I would prefer that. But the point is, if you're objective, if you could be objective, you have to look back and say there was a lot of good policies that came out of his administration. And by the way, that doesn't mean that Donald Trump came up with everything himself. Nobody does. No. They have advisors and they have cabinets and all that sort of thing. But his presidency was a very successful presidency.
I will tell you this. I do believe that if he can win in November, if he can win another term in November, one of the things that's going to happen right away is there's going to be an almost immediate sigh of relief among business owners in the country, because there's going to be at least initially a feeling that, okay, maybe now we can really get inflation under control. Maybe now we can really get policy in place, because at the end of the day, what everybody has to understand, when these politicians speak, when these political leaders speak, even if it's not voting on a policy that's going, something that's going to become a law or a policy, an economic policy in the country, their very discussion of certain things and how they approach certain things affects the markets.
Absolutely.
It has an impact. Yeah. And there's a lot of tension that has been created in the marketplace in this country that is, yes, a lot of it's driven by policy. Again, shutting down the economy in 2020 was a really stupid thing to do. But there's a lot of things that they can say or even just suggest that can have deep impacts on the marketplace. Wall Street reacts, all of the markets react to it, and it creates ripple effects in the economy.
Well, perfect example is day one when Joe Biden basically said, "I'm going after the oil industry."
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it has not been the same since. The oil and gas industry has not been the same since.
No. Yeah. Well, wasn't his first executive order to kill the Keystone Pipeline?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it was his very first.
Yeah.
It was in that stack,
I was waiting on him.
And I'll never forget that he's sitting there and they caught him on a hot mic. And he's signing, and he said something to the effect of, "I have no idea what I'm signing."
Yeah.
Wow. That's first day. And
it's only executive orders that become basically the law of the land.
Oh, my God.
So we have to bring up, though, we're kind of on this topic that you're talking about the economy and COVID and shutdown and all this and stuff. Uh-huh. So I think we can give Trump a bit of a pass, but he didn't get to complete. I think had he been reelected, I think that he would have done some executive orders, probably at the national level, to tell to the extent he could to repeal some of these policies that had been put in place to restrict it. Instead, Biden just expanded on or kept it in place and really kept going with that crap of keeping it
Well,
shut down or minimal shutdown.
What Donald Trump should have done, first and foremost, is he should have got rid of Tony Fauci.
Yeah, that's true. So
He
we
should
got
have got rid of
Donald Trump does not get a full pass on that.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
Donald
No.
Trump's first 3 years in office,
right.
I give him an A.
Yes, absolutely.
But I give him a D after that.
Yeah.
He handled COVID badly. I'm sorry.
Right.
And I know he was under pressure and this and that, but he kowtowed under pressure and he handled COVID badly.
Well, and perhaps he thought he was taking advice from the best people available to take advice from. Turned out not to be that way.
But by the way, all you got to do is do a damn Google search. Yeah. And this crap, I'm sorry. I'm so tired of people who were in political authority that are using, I was using the best authority. Yeah, do a Google search. There were very early on, there were groups of doctors, there were consortiums, there were people that were doctors that were on the ground that were forming groups to talk about COVID from a realistic standpoint. They had no government backing. They weren't making any money off of it. It was nothing to do with helping them or promoting them. It was about, I care about people. I'm upholding my oath, my Hippocratic oath. I care about people, and this is what we're seeing, and this is what we're seeing works, and what we see don't work.
Shut down by Google, by Facebook, by all of these.
But Donald Trump could have done a Google search and learned some of that. This crap about Donald Trump coming out there and going, "We're making ventilators." Well, it turns out ventilators were bad.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, ended up killing a lot of people.
And it didn't really take a brain scientist, a rocket scientist. That was political for Donald Trump. Donald Trump was doing that for political reasons.
Yeah. Well, on that note,
I call a spade a spade. I'm sorry.
On the ventilators, Elon Musk says he's probably got some connections all over the world, and he had been talking to some of the Chinese doctors that have been treating some of the patients, and that's where he learned. He says, "Look, the ventilators we found out are killing people."
Yeah.
And so I guess even China knew this. So why is it that? I think Chinese doctors want to be good too in most cases, but because their doctors are humans, right?
Most people that go into the medical profession,
But
anyway, they have more constraints than a lot of here.
But that's not what happened.
Moral center.
And so we have to keep that in mind. But I think that Trump has learned. I think he's admitted as much that that probably. I mean, he hasn't said, "Oh, I didn't do a good job." He won't say that.
Are you kidding me? He'll never will.
But I think he's saying the things that indicate that he's learned his lesson, and so hopefully. Well, but given our choices right now, that's where we are. It doesn't matter what happened in the past.
Here's the lesson I hope at least American, and I hope businesses around the world have, but at least American businesses have learned, is the next time your government comes to you and says, you have to close your doors and send everybody home, you look them square in the eye and tell them to go to hell. Right. You're not doing it.
As long as we can, keep that. I think they have already bought, because look at it. Look at the adoption rate of all of these, of the boosters. It's nil. And then, there's not an appetite to keep this going.
Well, hang on there. So. What happened to all those deadly variants? There was supposed to be like a new variant every season,
Well, people were going to start dropping like flies.
Didn't happen. All right, we'll wrap it up here. Guys, this podcast, it is Get It Right Texoma. It's brought to you again by MacTech Solutions, 4020 Ray Road in Wichita Falls, MacTech-Solutions.com. We are recording in the MacTech Solutions Podcast Studio. Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, 401 North Scott, downtown Wichita Falls since 1966, EddieHillsFunCycles.com. And Lolly and Pop Sweet Shop, LPSweet.com. And you can also find us on Facebook as well. We hope you will find this show on Facebook. Like our Facebook page. We want to get your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget, you can, obviously you're watching on YouTube if you're seeing us, but you can also get us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and now also iHeart Podcast as well. So until next time, guys, take care. We'll see you down the road.